Welcome back, Planet Zoo fam. We're here today with another tutorial for you guys, and this one is all about how to avoid the Planet Zoo curse. You may have seen people talking about this in the Discords. You may have seen this really funny post a few months ago by Vulpes Plus that really struck a chord with a lot of people. You may even experience this yourself, and we're gonna tackle it here today. Gotta give a thanks and a shout out to the channel's patrons who voted for this. I presented them with a list of possible tutorials to see which one the patrons wanted next, and they chose this one. So we're going to see if we can give you guys some strategies to avoid the planet entrance curse. Now, what is this curse? This curse is when you get tons and tons of passion and creative fervor for this new zoo, and you get going and you build a beautiful entrance, and then you kind of run out of steam after building the entrance. And the problem with this that people are encountering is that they tend to just build entrance after entrance after entrance and never get around to building the rest of the park like they would like to. So let's go into some strategies right now that might help with this. Okay, so number one, as the first strategy you could try is to skip building the entrance and start elsewhere in the zoo. There's a couple of different ways you can go about this, okay? So if you kind of know what you want to do for the entrance, and you kind of know also what the area around the entrance will be, you can do something like this. You can start off, let's just say that we section off. Turn off angles, not there. Consider sectioning off a nice big area, however big you think your entrance might end up being, right? And just consider this a temporary area where you're not going to touch anything, you're not going to build here, and start building outward. Start building out around this area. Get some habitats underway, get the plazas or the staff areas underway, and when those are either finished or in progress, come back to the entrance and then start building your entrance. Now that's one way you could go about that. Another way you could do this, and I've done this in a couple of my own zoos. This only works though if you have a strong idea for something elsewhere in the zoo. So let's say you had a really strong visual image or a plan for a specific habitat or building or feature, plaza, whatever it may be. You would come over here to wherever in the map you think that feature would be, and start building that, right? And you can go over to facilities. You get your entrance, you would plunk down a temporary entrance, you would plunk down a guest spawner, and you would just have these here temporarily as you build kind of from the middle outward is the whole idea behind this specific method. But that one's not going to work for everyone. That's a very specific scenario where you have already an idea for something else in the zoo that you could start with, okay? So that's number one, is to not start with the entrance. Now, I can hear what some of you are thinking, because I had this thought too. I cannot just leave this space blank, right? I need something here. Even if I'm going to start building something else, even something very close to the entrance itself, I still need something here, even as just a placeholder. So the second method I want you to try is to get yourself an entrance area from the workshop. Okay, let's go in here into some of the ones that I have in my workshop subscriptions, and let's just grab one. This is a really beautiful one. This is by Sayoki, aka Rolo Bulletstorm. And we're just gonna plunk this down here. And what this is gonna do, this is gonna be a temporary entrance for us, okay? And we're gonna use this as a stand-in. And we're gonna continue building outward, continue building our zoo. Then after some time, when we're ready, we'll come back, we'll remove this, and we will put in our own entrance, right? So the second method that you could try would be to use a workshop entrance as a temporary entrance for your zoo so that you don't get bogged down in building it and lose steam. Use a workshop entrance, start building outward from that, come back to it later, and replace it with your own entrance. And of course, the benefit of this, as opposed to just leaving this whole area blank, is that you do get some idea of what you maybe want this space for, and it won't look so jarring to have a big blank space here while you're building out other areas. Okay, method number 3. This method might help you if you are the type of person that has to do things in order. Let's say you can't not start with the entrance. You've got to start with the entrance because that's just the way that you work. I feel you. This might be the answer for you. What I want you to try is I want you to build the entrance and the elements connected to the entrance concurrently. Okay, so let me explain and let me walk through what I've got going here. Okay, so I started building this entrance, right? I started getting the framework down for the entrance. And what you're going to do is, before you finish this, I want you to start breaking foundation on your next section. Okay, so I started building the entrance, but then also I did some terraforming up here. I laid down some path. I made some plans for this plaza up here, and then I also started terraforming for maybe like a flamingo exhibit, I was thinking, right? And the idea here, what this is going to do, even though you will finish the entrance first, when you do finish the entrance, because you are also getting some work done on these connected areas, you will already have something underway that is in progress that you can just slide right into. That's the idea. Once this is done, this area would be partially done, so you just keep on building outward like that, instead of finishing the entrance alone and having nothing else connected to it, okay? So that is strategy number 3, keeping multiple areas under construction at the same time. And ideally, hopefully, this will enable you to just keep building without interrupting your flow, so to speak. Now, strategy number 4. Here is one for those of you who are saying, Tally, I can't start on something else until the entrance is finished. This is for those of you who have to finish one thing before you start working on the next, because that's just how your creative process works. Strategy number 3, the previous one, that one might not work for you because you just might not be comfortable having multiple things under construction at once. This one is going to involve you planning ahead. So what I want you to do, I've built out the entrance here. Here's our entrance. Here's our plaza. Over there's the unfinished flamingo habitat, right? So however you want to do the planning, that's up to you. Whether you want to do this in pencil and paper, or you want to draw digitally, whether you want to just make illustrations, or you want to build like a floor plan. The whole idea behind this is that you plan out at the very least, what I want you to do, plan out your entrance and each section that is immediately connected to it. For this one, I only have one. But if there were anything connected over to the sides, you know, staff areas, whatever's connected to your entrance, I want you to plan those out as well. And the reason for this is, by the time you are done actually building your entrance, you will know exactly what you are building next, and you can jump right into it. Now, there's one important thing that I want you to keep in mind here, okay? Come zoom in over here. When you are planning these sections, there's something I want you to watch out for that could cause a hang-up. I want you to pay special attention in your drawings, in your plannings. I want you to pay attention to these areas right here, transition areas, okay? Because we have our entrance, right? And we have our plaza. But this right here, if you don't know what your transition area between the entrance and the next section is going to look like, that could interrupt your flow there. That could cause a hiccup. Because if you don't know how you're getting from point A over here to point B over here, then that's gonna trip you up when you try to move from building the entrance to building the plaza. Because it's so easy, right? It's so easy to, you know, plan an entrance that you love and then also plan the plaza that's gonna go right next to it. But don't neglect this right here. That's the one that's gonna get you. Now let's talk about strategy number 5 for dealing with the Planet Zoo curse. And strategy number 5 is, if nothing else works, if you tried everything and you're still just building entrance after entrance, what I want you to do is I want you to try and work with it instead of against it. Everybody's creative process is different and they're highly individualistic. If you really have just tried everything to try and get out of this cycle of building entrance after entrance after entrance, it's entirely possible that you might need to embrace this method instead of trying to fight against it constantly. Let me explain to you a little bit more of what I mean. There's so many different ways that a person could go about creating something, seeing a project through to the end. One common way that a lot of people are going to have success with is they start a project, they see it all the way through to completion, and they finish it, and then they start the next one. That's one way of doing it. Others might start a project and get partway through and then start a new one and sort of stagger their projects like that. By the time they finish the first one, the next one is 1/4 of the way underway. But then there are also people who are going to have many projects ongoing, all at the same time, all at different levels of completion. If nothing else works for you in trying to battle this planet entrance issue, you might be someone who just creates like that. I'm gonna link you guys down below to a video that goes much more in depth on this from HealthyGamerGG. They have a really good video on this exact thing, But to give you an idea of how this would work, you get that passion, you get inspired, you build a beautiful entrance that you love, and then you would naturally just move on to whatever else has caught your interest in the moment. And even if you do this 6-7 times more, even if you do this over and over again, even if you accumulate several zoos that are all in varying stages of completion, you always have one to go back to when you get tired of working on the previous one. That's the whole idea behind this particular method of creating. It's a very rapid movement from one project to the next. No matter what mood you're in, you have a zoo to work on for that. But this method wouldn't function very well if you're constantly fighting it and constantly feeling like you somehow failed because you lost steam after building an entrance and then went on to another one. Like all methods of creativity, it's going to work best if you understand and accept how your own creative process works. So I would encourage you to try thinking of this habit of building an entrance and then pausing on that zoo for a while and then moving on to the next entrance, pausing on that one, moving on to the next one. I would encourage you to start thinking about it as a feature, not a bug, a feature that you need to work with and use for your own creative process. And I want you to recognize the benefits of that process and really enjoy it, because that's why we're here, to enjoy building, to enjoy creating these beautiful things in this beautiful game. So go forth and build, my friends. Build those entrances, build those zoos, achieve those goals that you have set for yourselves in this game. Special thanks going out once again to the channel's patrons. I couldn't do this without you guys. I will be back soon with another Planet Zoo guide, and I will see you guys then. Bye!